Welcome back to the Healthy Chicago podcast, where local health professionals and their guests discuss the latest public health issues affecting Chicagoans.
What's up, everyone? My name is John Jones here with the Healthy Chicago podcast, welcoming you to our space again. As you all know, this is our community engagement series, and today we have a special treat for you all. Not only do we have a born and raised Chicagoan, but we have someone who has been recognized for their excellent work giving back to his people. But I'm not gonna talk too much for him. I'm gonna let him say what he gotta say. So I want to give the floor, introduce our brother Dion Dawson here today.
What's up, brother?
And thank you for coming on today. Thank you for being with us. Want to get straight into it. If that's cool with you.
Let's go.
Let's hear about yourself first, and then we'll get more into the work that you do. But let the people know who you are as a person.
Man, I'm simple. Kid from Inglewood.
Okay.
Man, husband, father. Navy veteran.
Shoot. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Started an org, Dion Chicago Dream, a few years ago, and been putting up numbers.
Yeah, that's
it.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
man. I'm not from Chicago, Dion, but when I came here about 4 years ago, I was like hearing about a lot of organizations, and everybody was like, "Oh, there's that one guy who does a lot of food equity work." I'm like, "Word?" They're like, "Yeah, man. If you look up this, look up that." That just goes to show about the work that you're doing.
Appreciate it.
And those things that you're accomplishing with your people, for your people. So about Dion's dream, we would love to learn the purpose, the background, what was the day? Was there a vision, a story, an incident that occurred that made you recognize, okay, this is what we need to do as a city? But also explain the ins and outs. What do people know? What would people not know if they just knew about the name? What are some things that you and your organization does?
Well, Dion Chicago Dream, what we do is simple. Is we fight food insecurity through last mile delivery and logistics. And when you really just pare it down, it's really just basically the opposite of the pantry model.
Okay.
And so, what we saw, and I say we because even, we started with nothing, no money, no idea we would be doing this in 2020. Had people with me in the beginning, wife, mom, best friend, Natalie, a few other people, Roseanne, who just allowed me to kind of not be okay. I was just mad because what I saw in 2020 when the pandemic happened was, as a kid who grew up, primarily, homeless, lived in a lot of different places, the way that we fed people with emergency food and food equity work when I was 5 until the time I was 30 in 2020 had not evolved. It had not incorporated the technological advances. It did not champion innovation, but more importantly, it never really centered the experience of the recipient.
Okay.
And me being one of those recipients before, I saw a lot of the gaps. You know what I mean? It's just like a former NBA player knowing the parts of the game that the average person does not see.
Sure.
And so in 2020, when we have this pandemic and we have, going at an accelerated rate and it's right in your face, but the world is shut down. I just said, okay, cool. Somebody came to me, somebody I grew up with, and said, hey, what are you going to do for Juneteenth, 2020? And I didn't really have an answer. I tried to kind of finesse it a little bit.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Hey, it'd be like
and he said, no. You know what I mean? So shout out Gen Z, because they don't play. They direct.
For sure. For sure.
But it changed my life. And I said, okay, without thinking, we're going to feed 100 families, right? I was completely broke. Had no money. But saying that actually allowed me to be held accountable. And when you zoom out to what Dion Chicago Dream is really about, it's just about accountability. You know what I mean? In that moment of me being held accountable, that was the catalyst to change my life. Just because I decided to say something, commit to something bigger than myself. From there, said, okay, well, how am I going to get the money? Started to GoFundMe.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And started just going in on everybody. If you see me on social media now, imagine being less polished and more annoying in 2020.
For sure.
You drop a picture, hey, that's a nice picture. I got that GoFundMe. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Man, listen, dropping it. 25 hours later, raised $2,500. And on July 3rd of 2020, was able to feed 96 families. Wow. And we had, brand new fresh proteins, cereals, grains, sides, cans, whole nine. And logistically, it was one of the hardest days of my life. Now, let me explain something to you, which is why we're a lot of people don't really understand the parallel of that story. Sure. So, my mom is in Inglewood. Mm-hmm. And, here I am, I'm at her and my brother's place till 3 a.m. that morning, bagging chicken leg quarters.
For sure.
You know what I mean? Just dog tired. And we used a field that was like 800 feet away. Mm-hmm. And I never thought through logistically, how would we get all this food there in the morning? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So even in that moment, I immediately started understanding the importance of supply chain, started understanding the importance of logistics and moving stuff. True. So after that day, man, I just went to my wife. I said, yeah, I'm going to go for it. Mm. She said, what's it? I said, I have no idea. Dang. You know what I mean? Yeah. But I'm going to follow this feeling. For sure. And from that, I just kept following that feeling. And so this org started, no money. I mean, if you talk to my mom, who let me borrow the money to start the business account, let her tell it. She's part owner, even though there's no owners of nonprofits. I'm going to let her live. We started in 2020, and we started with a community fridge outside of a liquor store. Mm-hmm. And that one fridge literally changed my life. It literally taught me a lot about customer service. Taught me about quantitative data collection. Yep. It taught me about consistency. Yep. It really showed me what hard work was. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Yep. Went out there doing the polar vortex and 20 degrees below and 2 feet of snow. It don't matter. And from that, we just started the snowball effect. Mm-hmm. And the only thing I said was, when you think about, health equity and food equity work, the zip code you either are born in or you live in should not dictate how long you live, period. Yep. And when we're talking about food, the only thing I told to people, I said, listen, 2 of the core tenets of our organization that I wear as a badge of honor is, in 5 years, we've never recorded a single volunteer hour. Not one. We pay people for their time. Yeah. And the second one is, we've provided more than 3 million pounds of brand new fruits and vegetables, none of it given. We purchased everything. Wow. And when you talk about that quality control, when you talk about that commitment to excellence, that's why we've been able to get market share. Absolutely. That's why people can talk about this movement, and it's a thing and not about Dion. I just understood that it couldn't be about my trauma. Yeah. I had to grow and understand that leadership is not being a monolith. You know what I mean? Yeah. And when in not only Chicago, but in every space, like the Chicago metropolitan area, you have to make sure that you leave ego and emotion at the door. That's real. And you really focus on, okay, what are you trying to do? And I mean, I literally put it on LinkedIn yesterday, like, man, when Timothy Chalamet said, like, man, I want to be one of the greats. Like, I'm not playing. Yeah. Like, this ain't. I don't pack it in every day. Like, when I wake up, I go for it every single day. I don't play. This ain't about politics. This is like, man, like, I have a chance to make somebody's life better. Yeah. I got a chance to hire people. Yeah. I got a chance to feed somebody. They're letting us, they're allowing us to deliver to their door. Yeah. That's it. That's all. This is like, man, like, I literally get to wake up and make people's life better.
Man. You got me want to run through a wall, bro. I'm like, you know what? Tomorrow I'm gonna look that Timothy Chalamet.
Man,
I appreciated that vulnerability he had, because a lot of people, there's like this idea of humility, and I think there can be humility in the work that we do, but to the point though is like that humility matched with the responsibility you have.
But you hit it right on the head, which is in our work. The difference is that I'm lucky enough to have found my life's calling after I turned 30. I have perspective.
Sure.
I've hit my bottom.
Sure.
I'm in my work. I'm in my gift. So when he say it, it's not abrasive to me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But also understanding that everybody does not have the luxury of working in their gift.
That's real.
And so they're gonna it's gonna be abrasive because they're not working out of joy. They're not working with love or happiness or making someone else's life better. They're trying to survive.
Yeah.
And so I can't even be mad at him because there's already a different aesthetic with him saying that with this in this day and age, but also understanding that he has the luxury to explore that because he's affluent, and that's fine.
Sure.
But man, when you know, like, and you felt yourself working, and you on your journey, when you hear that, oh no, you know it like that. Like I felt that. I'm like, no, like I'm not. This ain't no game for me.
Sure.
And even in the community, because for me, if you're in the community, you should have the same pride in your product and your program as Amazon.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Because like if you're not committing like that, then why are you doing this?
Sure.
The only thing I know is like, man, like our produce speak for itself.
Yeah.
What Denzel say? I guarantee it. Like that's what I'm doing. This ain't no game. Like I send somebody to our office right now to open up a box and stand on it. My team is that good.
Dang. Man, well, to everything you said, I wanted to say a few things. One,
course.
I appreciate your vulnerability.
Of course.
Secondly, it seems like we're on year 5.
Yeah.
5-year anniversary. So we might get into that a little bit later.
Yeah.
What's the plans for that?
Yeah.
I know you highlighted that you all do deliveries.
Yeah.
But when I was doing my own research, I recognized that there's also some lockers and other things that you all provide. Can you provide a little bit more information on how someone in the community can really receive the produce that you all provided? And I do want to highlight that you said nothing is given.
Facts.
You purchase everything, which is something that is transformative when it comes to the work regarding food equity. It's like a lot of the stuff is like leftovers, but now you're selecting prime ingredients for the people that you serve.
No,
so
absolutely.
Just want to acknowledge for everyone listening at home, like he said that. That's a really important piece.
What I mean when you think about that, when we talk about equity, that does not mean exclusion from the market.
Agreed.
So understanding the how philanthropy and capitalism work together.
Sure.
They're intertwined.
Sure.
The problem is that most leaders try to absolve themselves of capitalism, and it's not possible. And so as a result, having that exclusion from market hurts the cause. The goal is to find ways to take the byproduct of capitalism and wash it through the right means. And so if you're not doing that, it's always going to be icky. You know what I mean? And so, of course, like I said, but when you talk about, our programming, everything is intentional. And so, of course, we had that fridge. And shout out our team, but we had the only community fridge in North America that did not take anything from the community. So the premise of the community fridge is give a little, get a little.
Sure.
How can a community give a little if they ain't got nothing?
Got nothing to give.
So for us, we said, okay, don't give us nothing. We go give it to you, brand new. And because we were on the news a few times early on, a lot of people don't know this, but we got dropped from our insurance coverages like 6 times over the first 2 years. Every time they saw us on the news because of the pandemic. So every time they saw us handing out food or people going to that fridge, they wouldn't cover us. You know what I mean? So when you think about that, even the fridge model was not, it was insolvent.
Sure.
Because that's still a fridge outside on someone else's property, using someone else's electricity, that's not really bringing any value to anyone outside of maybe, 15 to 25 people.
Sure.
Right after that, it's gone.
Sure.
And so, in our programming and how we've evolved, it's us acknowledging that we still have to be better. And so we went from the fridge, because we only had one. Whenever people talk to things like, oh, how many fridges you got? One. I'm not going to scale something that I know is not scalable.
Sure.
So it's understanding that, we are not above reproach. I mean, it's really about the program and the product. And so from there, we went to Dream Deliveries. Dream Deliveries, a flagship program where we deliver a week's worth of brand new fruits and vegetables directly to households, not only in Inglewood, but now we're in 163 different zip codes every week.
Wow.
About 4,300 households, about 150,000 pounds per month. In doing that, we're able to deliver about 10 pounds, all brand new produce. They get that weekly delivery, updating social media daily, doing a bi-weekly touch point with internal community health workers who are collecting qualitative data and analysis from every recipient household. So now we can take all of that data, get judged in 6 different areas, and that culminates in our dream score. Our dream score is our way of knowing that on a daily basis, when we can look at this custom dashboard, we're doing what we're supposed to do.
Yeah.
That score out of 1 to 10, right now it's about a 9.88. It's never dipped below historically a 9.5.
Okay.
That lets us know we're doing our thing.
For sure.
You know what I mean? One of the key indicators is stress after delivery. Our data is showing we're lowering stress by more than 80% right after delivery. From there, you go into the Dream Vault. The Dream Vault is network-enabled locker system that we pair with our Dream Delivery Box, deliver there, enroll households within a 1 to 2 mile radius so that they can not only pick it up in their community, but also become a patron of a local business. Excuse me. Man, I'm burping. So when you think about that, what we wanted to do was bring that foot traffic back to these businesses. Now, if we can get them in there, we give them, on average, our boxes are worth about $35. $35 worth of brand new fresh produce. It's your job to keep them there. We did our job. Across all of our vaults, we have a 98% successful pickup rate. We good. And we can prove it because it's network enabled. So now you're talking about everything that you all say you want. Okay, we can bring that foot traffic, partner with us, work with us, but we doing what we doing. And now this suite of programming, which is award winning, it allows us to basically have a blueprint for what does food equity and emergency food response look like, not only in one neighborhood, but what's the calculation for any neighborhood? Because in a rural location, there might be more vaults than delivery because it's widespread. In an urban location, there's more delivery than vaults. And so what we've done is like really slowly learn and kind of churn our way through to really building something that is not being done anywhere.
Okay, all that makes a lot of sense, and I appreciate you breaking that down too for those listening. Also for myself too, the Dream Score, how you all really utilize the quantitative and the qualitative data to not only ensure what you're doing is correct, but also I'm sure you and your team are internally expanding on ideas based off the data that you receive. So that's really great to hear, and also for those who are in like the work that you're doing. Pairing qualitative and quantitative data with the actual engagement are 2 pieces that must come together for success. So I'm glad that you touched on that.
Of course.
One thing I want to bring up, because my role with the health department is I am with the Community Safety Coordination Center.
Gotcha.
So we understand that community safety, which includes an array of different areas,
of course,
is something that is getting a lot of attention through the city of Chicago, through the United States, the whole world, for being honest. And one of the things that I believe is that I'm a believer that food equity plays a huge role in community safety.
Absolutely.
When we're thinking about someone's mental health, when we're thinking about someone's response to particular incidences. So I don't know if you, I would actually just be curious on your thoughts on how food equity can play a role into community safety, but on an individual perspective, but also as a neighborhood. How can a neighborhood really benefit from more intentional actions regarding food equity until they're planning for community safety?
Well, I mean, listen, when you think about health equity, when you think about the data that exists, there's a direct correlation between your access to healthy food and healthy options to how long you live.
That's right.
Period. So if we're talking about safety, if we're talking about general health and wellness, it's there. It's there. And so for us, it's really about, before we even get to necessarily the food part, it's really about the access to the people and understanding that we bring a certain level of accountability back to the game from the community standpoint. It's too many people talking as if they can bring out 14,000 people, and then when the city needs them to show up, they don't. And so it's like it got to be some straightening on our side. It got to be some okay, we do need resources as organizations, absolutely, but also we got to, when it's time to go, it's time to go. And so the only thing I said was, okay, cool. Have we ever gotten a city grant? No. Is that going to be the end of the story? Nah, because we're going to stay ready. But what we're going to show them is we're going to build out consistent touch points. We're going to build a cadence of care, a cadence of connection, so that no matter what, we did it because it was the right thing to do. The problem is that when you think about whether you're talking about violence intervention, whether you're talking about health equity, food equity, whether you're talking about housing, you know what I mean, like Justice Connected, I look at every organization's metric of success. That lets me know what your true north is. Because for us, our metric of success is not tonnage. We know our tonnage, but it's about the quality, which is why we needed the dream score. And so when you think about that, when you think about connecting all of those things and how they play a part, we really have to have a solid foundation of making sure we can connect to all the people we need to connect to. That's what this is about for me. It's me being forgotten as a kid. It's me feeling like I fell through the gaps. How could I be homeless? How could no one check on me? And how can 30 years later that still be the case? But that's because when we look at the metrics, when we talk about housing, we're only talking about placement. Well, it's gonna always be low because it's so expensive. What other metrics do we need? We talk about workforce development. Don't talk about training. Talk about job placement. You know what I mean? How many people sustained employment after 3 months or 6 months? Like, come on, give us more. Give us the data that does not have to show success. We know the need is there. I can sit up and tell you we're delivering to 300 households. I can also tell you that organically our wait list is more than 3,000 households just from word of mouth. Wow. The need is there. And so when we talk about that, even before we get into those specifics of the community health, violence intervention, all of that, it's really about understanding how do we connect to the people so that we're all not trying to do the same thing. Yeah. How can we build that foundation of, okay, cool, the Johnson household, it is known that, okay, there is a clear need there. And as a result, maybe because of Dion's Chicago dream, and because of that touch point, now 20 organizations know. We talk about collaboration, but not to force it. You have to do it so that ultimately we can really, get in and stop with the wasting of resources and stop with everybody trying to think that they're not going to survive and all of that. No, like what's for you is you. But also you got to work. This is work for us. We don't have to be allowed to help people. But if we got the manual, then it's like, nah, we got to really understand what's needed to build a cohesive platform so that then every year we can start building on that, and we just haven't done it yet. Sure.
You haven't done it yet. I like that. Your response kind of reminds me of a quote. There was an individual in North Londo when I was working over there, and one of the things he always told me was, make sure, John, as a reminder, you work so hard that your goal is to not have to have a job.
Right.
And what you said reminded me of that particular statement, where it's you're working together, you're working in collaboration, you're pulling people together, but also you're utilizing your skill, you're coming together in that. So I appreciate you sharing that, and I think the idea of collaboration, to your point, it's a glorified story.
Yeah.
But what are we willing to do as individuals?
Exactly.
The city included, to do that, so we can work partner hand in hand, so that the things that we want to see actually do become accomplished. So again, I appreciate your response to that.
Of course.
Transitioning now into community engagement.
Gotcha.
I'm curious, when you first started.
Yeah.
I'm sure word of mouth was probably the biggest thing, and then you were recognized over the years. But how important is community engagement for Dion's dream?
Oh no, it's everything. Okay. Oh no, this ain't it ain't changed.
Okay.
That's what set us apart. Like, this is the good thing about it is, man, like every day you got to go back out and prove not only why you feel like you're the best, but why you feel you're a value add to their lives. That's the difference. It's cool to insulate yourself and act like, because you're doing something, that should be good enough. Nah. If you really treat this work and even the community engagement piece like a product, then you got to open yourself up for criticism.
That's right.
and you can tell.
That's true.
Listen, a hit dog go holler.
Facts.
You know what I mean?
I like that.
So it's just some people that you all have seen, you know, and it ain't just government.
Sure.
It's community leaders.
Sure.
That, man, as soon as they hear criticism, man, they got the wounded face. They walking around mad. And it's the opposite. Like, man, I get my butt handed to me every day. My team too. And we work on that and we train on that because we understand, you know, this is about the bigger picture. And we give that quality service. Community engagement is important because we're doing it for the community. We are the community. We hire from the community. That's just what it is. So who are we to think that their voice does not matter? Does that mean that they're always right? God, no. Sometimes they try to hit us with the okie doke. Okay. That's cool.
Sure.
We love you. Hey, that's what we family.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Everything ain't gonna be cool. But also understanding we can be the hand, you know what I'm saying, that stabilizes everything during a time of immense need and uncertainty. And so, you know, to be here and to still be able to engage with the community in spite of so many different reasons they have to not trust us. That's the thing. It's like, nah, like this, like for us to still be here and to still be rocking and be allowed to rock, like, nah, this is, like I tell people all the time, like in the summertime, everybody could look like they delivering food. Who doing it at 20 degrees below zero? My team.
Sure.
Dogs. Of the finest order. And that's what it's about. Like, community engagement requires commitment. It requires sacrifice. It requires humility. And a lot of people don't want to do that. And I've had my days too.
Sure.
And then my vice president, Danielle, or someone on the team, like, man, you tripping. You know what I mean? Like, nah, we good. And then I just take a step back, I'm like, yeah, you're right. You know what I mean? Because, like, man, like when you really doing it for the right reason and you know you want to be great at it, you could take that. You know what I mean? Because community engagement is really just about making sure that you're lifting up the voices, some that need to be heard and some that have never been heard. And just those two categories alone can really change the design process for something that's coming down the pipe, whether it's 9 months or 9 years. But being able to integrate those voices and those stories matter.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, you hit the nail on the head on that one. Like I said, every time you respond, I feel like I'm ready to do like 500 jumping jacks and push-ups. Man, I appreciate your energy. I appreciate your responses.
Of course.
Man, okay. You know, we got to wrap up, Dion. But usually I like to end with like a question about like your neighborhood and favorite foods and such. But I don't know. I feel led to ask you. I have been inspired by this conversation.
Appreciate it.
I'm sure those listening have been inspired will be inspired by this conversation. I am curious though, as the man who sits here today in front of us, March, was it the 6th?
6th, yeah.
March 6th.
Yeah.
When you started that business, you started the dream in 2020 after all the stuff that you saw.
Yeah.
Like 5 years later, you about to open up what you said, 20,000 square foot place, 1600% increase.
Yeah.
What would 2020 Dion say if he was like in the room? Like, was this something that was like what would you think at that time?
So I'll tell you this: my mom, she beat kidney cancer a few years ago, and
congratulations to your
of
mom.
course, absolutely, strongest woman, people I've ever met. From that moment on, I have not had one single day that would ever come close to a doctor walking in the room and telling you and your 3 brothers that your mom has cancer. And so 2020 Dion wouldn't be surprised because 2020 Dion is still 2025 Dion. I think anything is possible.
Sure.
That's just what it is. And that's the competitive edge I have over anybody. It's I don't have to be convinced of something. You have to convince me it's not possible. And from there, I'm just going to work. Yeah. And I believe tomorrow, Mackenzie Scott will call and just say, hey, you could just have the rest of my fortune.
Sure.
You just got to be ready.
Yeah.
The same way I bring love, respect, and appreciation to this platform, I bring to any platform.
Absolutely.
I don't get to dictate. You know what I mean? And so 2020 Dion would be like, yeah. You know what I mean? Looking like, yeah, that's about right.
That's what we expect.
Not because, you know, you said, hey, you know, how's the org doing? But it's like, nah, like this the way I move is with intentionality. You ain't gonna see me in a room I don't want to be in. You're not gonna see me talk to somebody I don't want to talk to. You know, like I focus on love. I focus on those who are for me. Everybody ain't gonna be with me, you know? And so, you know, it's out of appreciation. But nah, this is different.
Yeah.
And, I can acknowledge that I know it's different. And so it's like, I don't got to leave my bubble.
Yeah.
They tell you all the time, like, man, like, okay, but how are you? Man, listen, to whom much is given, much is required.
Facts.
And the work that we do, the work that you do, Bernardo, all the rest of the leaders, especially throughout the city, like, this is what it is. We committed our life to it.
That's what we're here to do.
And after that, that's the only thing some days we go get thank yous. Some days we won't.
Sure.
It don't matter.
Yeah.
I don't get too high, I don't get too low. You feel me? Like keep it in the middle and keep pushing.
We'll get it done.
That's it.
Okay. Man, I greatly appreciate this conversation, brother.
Definitely.
It was a pleasure to have you on this podcast, on this platform.
Appreciate it.
For those listening, I hope you were able to identify, one, how food equity can play a role in a lot of things, just community work itself, community safety, but also as anyone who is looking to do work in communities, you see the blueprint, where the blueprint consists of consistency, dreams, the right people,
Absolutely.
hard work,
Absolutely.
humility, and the glories of what someone can do is not just charisma, it's grit.
Absolutely.
And if anyone's going to believe in you, you got to believe in yourself first.
Absolutely.
And we're seeing the impact of that when we're hearing there's a 3,000 wait list, and there's thousands of people getting fed now, and there's trucks driving around I-90. I'm seeing that. There's lockers, there's storage units, there's a big building that's about to open up.
Shake the city, man. For real.
Like, that is the recipe, and we salute you, brother, for the work that you do.
And the team.
And the
Don't
team,
forget the dream team.
Facts, the dream team.
Absolutely.
I saw the chief dream officer, the chief, I can't remember other titles.
So chief dreamer, chief mover is my vice president, chief counter, CFO, chief grower. That's
dope. Man, that's dope. You can do community work and set up personality for those listening.
Oh, facts. If you can't add a little,
for sure,
little flair on it, what are we doing?
Come on now.
You know what I mean?
For sure. But again, salute to you and your team.
Appreciate it.
Congratulations to your Ma Dukes.
Definitely appreciate it.
And again, thank you for the work that you're doing here in our city.
Of course.
And to those who have been impacted, I'm sure they're eternally grateful. And those who will continue to be impacted.
Absolutely.
I cannot wait to see the day where we get more and more. There's no wait list.
Absolutely.
And again, grateful to have you here, brother.
Definitely appreciate it.
You.
Definitely.
Yes, sir.
Definitely.
All right. That wraps up our podcast. Thank you, everyone, for listening in. Oh, real quick, if someone wanted to get plugged in, like, what's social media, LinkedIn, how can they find you?
All right, first off, I'm going to finish with telling everybody, make sure you stay safe. Remember that you're worth it and you're loved. And Black women, I love you. And then you can find me and the team on social media at Dion Chicago Dream, DIONS Chicago Dream, www.dionchicagodream.com. LinkedIn, same thing, or me personally, Dion Dawson. You can find me everywhere, or website, www.diondawson.com. But that's it. Like, we everywhere. Like, we in these streets.
Yeah, so tap in with them. We're excited to see what that grand opening here in the summertime.
Oh, y'all gonna be there? Don't worry.
Oh, for sure.
It's gonna be a party. Right. It's gonna be a vibe. Don't even worry. Hey, listen. Bernard don't know how I move. We gonna shut it down. They might have to cut the street off.
Hey,
it's gonna be wicked.
Come on now.
I just got to get G Herbo out. I got to tell him to answer the phone. That's why I'm trying to get a discounted price for a performance. That's why.
You heard it here first.
Yeah,
you heard it here first. All right, brother. Thank you.
Definitely.
Thank you for all those listening. Please check out the other episodes as well. We hope you have a great day and stay safe. Definitely. See you soon. Bye-bye.
And that's our show. Thanks for joining us today. Don't forget to rate and subscribe wherever you find podcasts. I'm Dr. Bora, and we'll see you next time.